Welcome to another Turn 'em Sideways channel video. We are going to be doing the set review of Spiritforged, and I've got Prismaticism here to walk me through. I'm going to start off with the Buru Captain, which is a common. When you play me, you may draw one or buff me. This is, I mean, it's 3 energy, 1 power for 3 might, and then it just replaces itself. You draw a card, or it's a 4. I don't know if I'm impressed enough with this card to want to play it, but I don't think it's like that bad, because I think replacing itself is important. A lot of orange decks just really lack card draw, so getting a body that draws a card is not horrible, but 3 energy, I already hate 3 costs, and it has a power cost, is not super exciting to me. I'll give it a 2.
I might even give it a 1. I really don't like this card, and I compare it to, I don't know, if you want the buff, there's a lot of other ways to get it much cheaper, and the draw is nice, but you're paying the power cost for it, and it's not a real 3-drop. And there are color combinations where maybe this is the best card draw option you have, but that still doesn't make it a playable card.
Yeah, it's basically orange-red is like, maybe you really just need the card and it's fine, but... next up is Combat Chef. This is Vanilla Weapon Master for orange. I think at 5 cost, it's not something I want to be doing. That's just my whole turn to like play this guy and equip a weapon to him. It's probably a 1. I mean, again, like it's not like it's horrible because the stats are fine. Like if I see this in a sealed pool, I'm not unhappy about it, but I don't want to play it in constructed.
Yeah, it's a 1. Just not going to do anything. There's better Weapon Master units.
All right, up next, Dauntless Vanguard. You may play me to an occupied enemy battlefield. This is Little Bro Dead Bloom Predator. And I think that the reason that Big Bro Dead Bloom Predator was good is because it was big and had deflect on it. So I think this loses everything kind of good about it. It's a pseudo accelerate, but 4 might is pretty beatable. I'm gonna give it a 1.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 as well. Doesn't have deflect. It's just being so small is so awkward. I mean, I don't know. Does Master Yi want this? No, he really doesn't.
Direwing, I enter ready if you control another dragon. I mean, dragon tribals getting there, Priz. We keep seeing them throughout this review. There's more dragons. I mean, entering ready, this is important for the dragon synergy. There is cost reduction in dragon synergy, so it could come in at a more efficient rate. It's not going in any deck that's not dragons for me. It's a 2. Maybe we can have a dragon review one day where we talk about how good all the dragons are, but it's a 2 for now.
Yeah, maybe, at least for right now, it's a 2 for sure, but this is going to be one of the better dragons later on, being a guaranteed accelerate. And if you're getting more cost reduction units for dragons or some other payoff, accelerate is the best thing you can get to combo with them.
I agree with you. I think there's some future ideas with that. Doran's Blade, this is like one of the most vanilla equips, 2 energy, 1 power equip cost, and then it is +2. This is relatively efficient. I mean, the +2 is good. We think about Longsword, which has the power cost and then quick draw to give the +2, which I think is generally better because you're paying that power cost up front to play it as a combat trick. So it is like a worse Longsword. Longsword, I gave a 4 to. This, I'm just going to give a 2. I think that it's not that exciting, but it is just like this on-rate, very vanilla equip. I'm going to give it a 2.
I think I'll give it a 3. Because it's a 2-mana equipment, you could play it as your turn 1 and then follow up with a Weapon Master unit, which does make it a lot better for your curve. And then the +2, just unconditional +2 might and only 2 mana, so you could play it as a like free attack, slow combat trick, and then having the +2 left over on unit afterwards makes it that much harder to deal with. It's going to be expensive, but a deck like Sivir, since she gets so much gold, is going to be able to pay for it more easily.
All right, up next, Laurent Bladekeeper, 3 energy, 3 might ganking. I do think ganking as a keyword is good in colors that can ready their units, right? So orange is really good at abusing ganking, but I don't think I want to play a 3-drop just to have ganking on it, so I'll give it a 1. I just don't think I'm going to want to do that.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 as well. With ganking, you want to be a bigger unit, and you're more likely to hold, and you're more likely to then be able to also push into whatever your opponent is holding with on the other battlefield.
All right, up next is Punch First 5, just like the amount of might it gives. This card is crazy. I think 2 power is a steep cost, but when I only have to keep up 1 energy to threaten Punch First at any given moment to my opponent, it is so valuable for them to have to play around this. And if they don't and they get blown out by it, then you losing the runes probably doesn't matter. So yeah, this is a 5 for me. This card's crazy.
Yeah, it's a 5 as well. Maybe if gold didn't exist, it would be a bit more reasonable, but it can't be defied. You basically never telegraph it either compared to a card like Primal Strength. It's like, oh, my opponent left 4 runes open. They clearly have that or something else going on. Whereas with this, it's like, oh, they played, I don't know, a 2-drop instead of a 3-drop, and they've got 1 energy left. Could be punch first, maybe it's not, but the fact that it exists and is such a massive swing means that no matter what, if you're an orange deck and you hold 1 energy open, your opponent's going to have to think about it.
Yeah, incredibly powerful. One of the most powerful cards in the entire set, I think. Sea Monkey is up next. This is a 2-drop that you may pay 1 additional cost to get a buff. So I was really low on this card. I'm a little higher on it recently. I played a set with someone who was playing Sea Monkeys as one of their 2-drops, and it's kind of nice if you're going second that this is actually just a 3 that you're playing on turn 1 instead of a 2. And then sometimes if you just have the extra runes later, you can get the buff, and then that buff may lead to being a Call to Glory or some other buff spender later on. It's comparable to like the Glory Seeker, the Legion one that gets a buff. But this is, you don't need to have a second card. So early game, it tends to be a little better, where you just get to kind of play it by itself and get the buff. I still don't think it's an amazing 2, but it's an okay 2, and I'll give it a 3.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3 as well. I think it's probably worse than something like Pit Rookie overall, or a lot of the 2-drops that yellow has access to, but it's a 2-drop that can get more value later on, and then can be a 3-drop at the same time. You go second, so
and it has that nice, very exciting pirate synergy that we're all looking forward to. All right.
Where's Monkey Tribal?
Yeah, monkey. Yeah, wait, he's not a monkey. Wait, he's not a monkey, Frizz. Wait. No. It doesn't work for Monkey Tribal. Up next is Veteran Poro. Veteran Poro, cheap Weapon Master. Poro synergy. I like Veteran Poro. It's vanilla on your turn 1, but it is a Weapon Master if you're kind of an equipped deck, so that when you play him later, he's less embarrassing, because he just like picks up a weapon and he's a stronger unit. So I actually like Veteran Poro. I'll give him a 4. I think he's a solid 2.
Yeah, okay. We'll give him a 4 as well. I think, and he does have the issue again where, let's say you have a Doran's Blade and you have him. If you play him first, then you've got to pay to equip the Doran's Blade, whereas if you play the Doran's Blade first, he's not ready and can't do anything on turn 2. But as a 2-drop that then gets value later on, that is quite a lot of value to get. Just the fact that generated an extra power for you to play with.
Yep, especially if you're on bigger equips, right? If you're on the little equips, maybe it's not as exciting, but you know, it's still not terrible. Yordle Explorer, when I play a card with power cost 2 or more, draw 1. That is it's a very specific effect. You need to be playing a deck with enough of these power costs that you're gonna actually get draw, and then you also have to want to play this 4 for 4 and then back row it. I mean, you don't really want to back row it. It's like you play this on and then when you push it in, you have punch first and it like draws a card, and that's kind of okay. It's on rate with an additional effect, but I probably don't want to put it in my deck ever, so it's probably just like a 1 or a 2. Maybe I'll give it a 2 because drawing cards is cool.
I'm thinking about it a bit more. I might give this... I mean, we're primed on punch first. It's like, oh, this with punch first, this is great.
Yeah.
But that is the best double power cost card that you're going to have, unless you're paired with probably purple would be the best other pairing. But considering orange card draw especially, this is just the best card draw option you have.
Wait, that's really sad, but you might be right. Yeah.
I think it might be a 3 because of that.
Yeah. Huh. Maybe I need to explore Yordle Explorer a little bit and maybe see if this card actually feels good to play. Certainly something to look at. All right, up next is Fey Dragon. When you play me, buff up to 4 friendly units. When you spend a buff, play a gold gear token, exhausted. So dragon synergy and buff synergy on this one. I still do not think this is currently going to be super playable. I don't know that you want to play, like you can really play 7 drops and like set very efficiently, which is who would want the buffs maybe the most. So I'm going to give it like a 2. It's another dragon that has an effect that's probably reasonably good in a dragon deck, but I think it's worse than the other 7-drop that gets to come in ready. So it might even be a 1 because I said that one was a 2. It's a 1 for now, and then dragon synergy down the line maybe.
Okay, I was always going to give it one more than you. I think
I'll give it a 1 so you can
at
give
least,
it a 2. It's safer.
yeah, that is safer. I think some set decks, I don't think they're correct for doing it, but they do play Yellow Karma as a big unit that comes in with a buff, and this is a much better card than Yellow Karma is. And it is like a really big Kinku Monk, effectively. It's double Kinku Monk.
Yep.
So, that it is the sort of thing that set kind of wants if he can get up to that many runes, but at least how they're built right now, they're completely fine, just never going past 5 runes the entire game.
Up next, we got Hex Drinker. This is your Doran's Blade, but it only gives 1 and Deflect. I mean, giving Deflect is good, but yeah, it's weird. You want Hex Drinker like on a big unit or comboed with like other equips onto something. I'm not super impressed with Hex Drinker. I think the might is too low on it. I'm gonna just give it a 2. I don't like it that much.
I might even give it a 1.
Yep.
You don't want Deflect against most decks, and the decks that you would want it against, you'd rather play something like Unyielding Spirit most of the time. This is a lot to pay just to attach Deflect to a unit, and then your opponent's just going to say, okay, I'll pay the Deflect cost the one time it matters, and then you haven't done very much.
Yeah, you've traded 1 power by equipping it for 1 power from them to pay a Deflect. Yeah, not very good. Not very good. Up next is Jawfish. Jaw ready for this, as Blevins would always say every single time Jawfish got played in Legends of Runeterra. Accelerate, and I cost 2 less for each of your mighty units. And it does 7 with 2 power and 6 might. So you need... How many mighty units do you think you need for this card to actually be good? 2? Because then it's like 3, and then it's like 4 energy, 3 power for a 6 might. Is that even that good? That's so much power.
There's the set 1 card, Harpoon Hunters or something, that is similar to this if you make this cost 3.
Yeah.
It is the 3 mana double power cost for 5 with Assault 1, and then it has Accelerate.
Yeah.
So I think you need 3 mighty units in play, and then
Wow.
if you have that kind of situation, then...
Alright, it's a 1, Briz. If we need 3 mighty units in play, this is a 1. Yeah, it's just not going to be good enough.
Well.
All right, up next is Petricite Monument. This has temporary. So you play it, and then it gets killed at your next turn, and it says friendly units have deflect. When I read this, I think this is like a 1. I'm not convinced that giving my entire board deflect for 1 turn is worth paying 2 energy. I don't know that I really feel like that's going to be that good. I could be wrong, and maybe, being able to just play this and then push your attacks, knowing your opponent's going to play spells. Like, okay, here, I'll give a crazy example. If this Victor list that we saw that is all spells is really, really popular, maybe Petricite Monument is a kind of answer you might want or need, but I'm going to give it a 1 for now, and we'll see if this becomes a playable tech piece.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 1 as well. I wish that it was more expensive and said your units just can't be targeted. That would be a lot more impactful, because if it's only going to last for 1 turn, then your opponent either waits it out, or they just accept the cost if it's later in the game and they don't care.
Yep, no, I completely agree with you. Up next is a Ruin Runner. It can't be chosen by enemy spells and abilities. I'll respect it. I'll give it the 5. I do think being able to make a unit big because of equips and then make it not targetable, and then like Master Yi, this just defends as a 7 before you give it anything else, and then you can't use spells to beat it. You have to beat it through unit combat. Yeah, it's good. It's Hexproof is a really good effect in Riftbound, and this is a scary ability, even if it is on just a vanilla unit. I guess it's just 5 and it has this effect.
Yeah, I really want to give it a 4, but I'll respect it. It's going to do something broken, and a lot of decks are not going to be able to deal with it.
It's going to be meta defining enough, like where it's like you just have to, this is something you have to deal with. Show of Strength, reaction, draw 1 for each of your mighty units. So this is your Cadragon, but in spell form. It's again, we kind of have this problem, right, where it's like, if you have this many mighty units where this is good, do you need this? And that is the really difficult question. But it is card draw in orange, which is something that orange needs. Maybe a 2. Yeah, maybe a 2.
Uh,
Do I just play
I might give
spoils
it a
instead, though?
1. Yeah, like you have Spoils of War, which is meme tier card already, and this is going to be difficult to make better than Spoils.
Yeah, it's a 1. It's a 1. It's not better than spoils. God damn. Why can't... What? Actually, you know what? No. Don't print good card draw for orange. They don't need it. The color is good. Doesn't need good card draw. It's fine. Don't give it to them.
They get punch first. They're fine.
They get punch first. Yeah, they get punch first. They don't need the ability to draw into their punch first, okay? Like, it's fine. Strike down. Choose an equipped friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit, then detach an equipment from it. I love that this targets base. I think it is a strong removal option if you are playing enough equipment that, like, the equipment part of this is not going to hurt you, because that condition is very real. Like, if you don't have an equipment on the board, you need to have an equipment and a unit and then this spell in hand to actually do it. Those are very real conditions, but I do think if your deck is always going to have those first 2 conditions fulfilled, this is a 4, because it is just like a solid removal spell. It's pretty expensive, but it's not like challenge where they strike each other. So it's not like you're trading. You just need to equal that might and you can kill the unit.
I think it's a 1. I think it's so much worse than challenge. I'd rather have the condition of needing my unit to be bigger than having an equipment and then detaching it as well. That's an extra cost that you're going to have to pay at some point later on.
All right.
And then challenge is also action speed. And then there's another card, Marching Orders, which is the repeat version of challenge in this set, which I think is also a better card than this.
And I do think challenge is crazy. So I do think challenge is better than this. But yeah. All right. Up next, we've got Warmog's Armor. This is When I Conquer, Buff Me. And it has +1 and it pays for 1. Really good on like Monastery of Harana to give the extra buffs, give card draw. This is the best card draw card in orange, actually, because there's no good ones. And then good buff synergies for things like Call to Glory. But there's nothing crazy about this card, and I think it's probably something like a 2. It's an okay equip, but it's not insane.
I think it's might even be a 4. It's close. Like, it has that combo, and then it's like a Doran's Blade as long as you can conquer 4 with whatever unit you attach to, and that's going to be the most common situation with equipment, is you equip it to a unit, you do the conquer at least the first time you play it, because that's the perfect spot, and then the unit dies, so then you've got another unit in your base that you give it to and then go and conquer with. I think that's really strong, and it has the buff synergy. It might even be a staple in a few different decks.
Yeah, I think it's a 5 on your Monastery game, and then it's like a 2 after that. So it's hard to say, but that might be good enough, right? If it is a 5 on your Monastery game, and then it's a 2, like that might be worth putting in my deck.
You could either do a similar thing to Scrap Heap with Zon Warrens.
Yep, you can either side it out, or you just accept like a 2 on the other games is fine, and you can mull it away, or like whatever, like it's maybe okay. All right. Up next is Akshan. You may pay 2 power as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you pay the additional cost, move an enemy gear to your base. You control it until I leave the board. If it's an equipment, attach it to me. And he's Weapon Master. People have been saying that this card is the reason Aurora can't exist, because they'll just Akshan you and steal your Aurora. But I also think he's just a very efficient gear hate for orange, because you are just getting the value. You either play him as a 4 Weapon Master with 4 might, or you pay the additional cost and you steal something from them and try and keep it around. Does get returned if they remove him, but I think Akshan's really strong. I think he's probably a 4, and he's one of the better hate pieces into heavy gear setups.
Yeah, I think he's a 4 as well. Compared to War Chef, you get the same energy to might plus Weapon Master cost, but then this extra upside, it's main deckable gear removal, and it can cause a lot of issues for the opponent. And how good the gear is, you just keep it in your base for the entire game.
Next, Fiora Peerless. When I attack or defend one-on-one, double my might this combat. I think this condition is often too easy to play around for your opponent, except for, I will say, on offense, it is significantly better, because I think stacking battlefields is a lot less common. So you'll get this offensive threat very frequently, which makes it like a 3 energy, 1 power, 6 might attacker. But then on defense, easy enough often to just send 2 units or just cast a spell and kill her because her might is like quite small. So I have not been very high on this card. I'm gonna give her a 2, but I think there's some really unique things you can do with like Master Yi, where she gets to be a lot bigger from Master Yi, or with any other buffs, she can get even stronger. I think Master Yi is the one that I initially think is like maybe can make this good because he struggles on offense, and so the when I attack trigger is really good. And then on defense, he wants to defend alone anyway. The downside is just when people push multiple units in, he loses a lot of effect. But if they only have a single unit, she's really insane. So I've convinced myself she's a 3 because of Master Yi.
Do you know, is her trigger when she attacks or defends and then the condition, or is it if it becomes a one-on-one combat, will it still trigger?
So this is a whenever I attack or defend trigger. So if it becomes one, it will not. The trigger will have passed. So it has to happen when you first attack or defend. What I will say is I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, especially if we find out later that I'm wrong, because often that happens when we do these videos before the set is actually out everywhere. I believe Master Yi's static +2 will happen before the defend trigger, so she'll be a 10.
Yeah, I think it should.
Yeah. Which is crazy. I mean, she's unbeatable 1v1 in Master Yi.
Yeah, I don't think I can give her a 5, but I think she's a 4. Depends on the meta. You might not be able to play her in the main deck, but as a sideboard card, there are a lot of decks that are not going to be able to deal with her. Like something like an Aurelia deck where you're trying to buff up and move around this one unit. If you run an Aurelia into this with a punch first, you're just going to fall over. That's quite strong. And then against Master Yi as well, like he's not going to be able to beat this card.
Yep. Yeah, a good attacker in Master Yi is actually a great idea. Yeah. You need because he has to defend alone, and then this just lets you punch over.
And in general, in set 1, combat is one-on-one most of the time, unless it's a yellow deck involved. So it's not like this is a difficult condition to fulfill, especially when you're attacking, if you can play some kind of challenge or other removal spell beforehand.
All right. Yeah. No, I like it. All right. Up next, here to help. This is hidden card. Immediately when this was revealed, everyone started linking this with Bryn here and said it was going to break the game, which I don't think is true. But you may play a unit from hand to a battlefield you control, reducing its cost by 3. It can be hidden, so you can reaction speed play a unit to the battlefield, and yeah, play it for 3 less. It basically cheats 1 energy, or it cheats 3 energy if you pay the power to hide it, which is good. That is good. -3 on a unit cost. Pretty card negative because you're just playing a card and then using a card to play a card in the color that has the worst card draw, which I think is a struggle. But if it may be possible to play this in one of the color combos that can support that, and it's more playable. There's some niche combos. Bryn here is one of them. I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm not actually impressed with this card. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't think this card's that good.
It could just give it a 3 and be safe. I can only be off by 2 either way. It's either going to be completely broken with Bryn here, and then even it is sort of like a dark ritual, but a much more conditional one and quite a bit more telegraphed, where if you hide it, your opponent's going to think about Pack-a-Cub at least when it's hidden. So if you're tapped out completely, you're not going to be able to do much better than a Pack-a-Cub would anyway. And if you hide it and hold open more mana, then you're really showing your opponent, especially if you hold open 3 mana and have a hidden card. They're like, okay, I know what this is. So it's a lot less effective, but maybe being able to flip this and just play some other unit out of orange or red, out of that combination, can be good enough. I'm not sure what unit that would be. And some decks are going to get destroyed by it, like Jinx specifically, her legend ability is a start of turn trigger.
Yeah.
So specifically there, you're always going to have a window to flip this and play Bryn here and cut their entire turn off. But most decks are not going to give you that window for free. And there are battlefields with hold effects. That's the one other option that you could use as a window to get this trigger, but it's a bit weird.
Feels real cheeky and not actually that good. But we'll see. I'll be wrong. It's fine. I'm happy to be wrong about things. I really don't care. It's about it's just seeing what we can be right about. And Kato is one where I might also have a hot take on. We'll see. Kato, the arm, 4 energy, 1 power, 3 might, deflect. When I move to a battlefield, give a friendly unit my keywords and plus might equal to my might this turn. And I actually think Kato's pretty good. I've been testing this this card a little bit, and I think the fact now, if this ruling gets changed, it says give a friendly unit my keywords. He is a friendly unit. So he can become deflect to might 6 when he swings on his own, when he moves to a battlefield. And it is move, not attack, which is also kind of helpful. If that ruling is not correct, but then Kato becomes a lot worse. But I think him being able to buff himself is really, really valuable. Becoming deflect to might 6, and then you can also just combo this with like punch first or equipment or anything like that, and it is quite strong. So I'm gonna give Kato a 4. I actually think this card's pretty good.
Maybe he is a 4. I'm thinking about like Ride the Wind as the biggest combo. If you can get him to trigger multiple times in a turn, that's when he gets really crazy. I had this long debate with Kuvi about if he could throw himself. It doesn't say another friendly unit.
It doesn't. It says a
it also
friendly
it
unit.
It doesn't make too much sense that he can throw himself either. But
it also doesn't. So
yeah, I'll give him a 4.
Yeah,
you
the
can
big asterisk here is if he can throw himself, he's a 4. If he can't, he's probably like a 2 or a 3. He's still not bad, but he's probably not that worth playing. But throwing himself
get paired with Lucian Signature, Ride the Wind, or Misfortune Legend for ganking are all pretty easy ways to get him to trigger twice, and that's pretty huge to be able to do that.
All right. Up next is Lucian Merciless, Weapon Master, 3-drop. The first time I conquer each turn, ready me. Master of hit and run tactics, definitely very good when you are like a double conquer deck and you're just trying to conquer and retreat with a point lead. And I think there's also, ganking and like Misfortune, right? You run in, you conquer one side, give ganking from Misfortune, run to the other side. I think there's a lot of really cool, good stuff that you can do with Lucian Merciless. I hesitate to give him a 5 because I don't know that he's like that broken or like that crazy, but I will give him a 4. I think this is what I want out of a 3. I definitely, like, if I'm gonna play a 3-drop, I want it to be this good.
He's close to a 5, but I'll give him a 4 as well. It's not quite as good as Darius Trifarian's effect, but it is close, and it's such a strong effect where you get to conquer and then you don't leave about any units behind on the battlefield, so your opponent never gets to attack into you. You basically just force them to be the only one defending constantly, so it generates a lot of value doing that.
Up next is Marching Orders. This is that like challenge you were talking about earlier. It has repeat. Choose a friendly unit anywhere and an enemy unit at a battlefield. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other. The battlefield clause on this makes it just so much worse than challenge, in my opinion. And so I'm gonna give this a 2. I don't think it's that good, but it is not horrible. It is action speed removal, which is decent.
Yeah, I think a 2 is pretty reasonable. It's only going to be that good or better than challenge in a ramp deck that's going to pay for the repeat cost most of the time, or that wants more than 3 challenges. But it is something really nice. I mean, Aurora deck's probably not going to be too viable in the future, but this is the sort of card that an Aurora deck or some other big unit deck wants to have, where you fall behind on points, but then you have this action speed removal to shut down the opponent's scoring later.
All right, up next is Trinity Force. When I hold, score 1 point. I think people are pretty worried about this in Master Yi, trying to hold and then just equipping this repeatedly to whatever's trying to hold, making it so you always have to stop him like every single turn. I just think score 1 point is such a powerful thing that Trinity Force is almost certainly going to be good. The question is, where is this going to exactly be good? I'm going to give it a 4. I don't think it's like so broken that it's just like a 5, but I think this card is really good. I think 4 is not like an energy cost that is insane to play. And the fact that it gives +2 is like very on rate for equip, like reasonable rate for equip. And scoring a point is something that can't be underestimated. So I'll give it a 4.
I'll also give it a 4. I think It probably needs to be combined with something like Master Yi or some kind of hold support, or the Skyfall of. I don't remember.
Yeah,
That word
whatever
was
the
so strange.
Pantheon Spear.
Yeah, where when you conquer.
Yeah.
So there is that combo, but red orange doesn't have the card draw to really support these two card combos. But yeah, scoring extra points is just insane. There's stuff like Ari, green Ari, that's a very, very overcosted unit, but holding and scoring extra points is that strong.
And I mean, this is the colors with like punch first. Like you could just keep open some, some crazy stuff that makes it so that unit combat becomes really hard to ever beat the Trinity Force.
Yeah. If you're a deck like Master Yi where your units are already more expensive to deal with than normal, if you force your opponent to deal with them, that's when they can really start running out of resources.
And I think the fact that you can keep like, each turn you just like, even if they deal with it, you just equip it again. It's not like the problem goes away unless they can destroy the gear. I think that definitely gives it some points. Up next is Yone, Blade Master, Weapon Master for 5 and a power. When I conquer an open battlefield, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit in base. A lot of very specific clauses for this to trigger, and I think for good reason, because I think the ability is really powerful. It does require a conquer on an empty battlefield, and then it has to only hit base. But this is a very good with, I think, like purple, like fight or flight kind of setup. You fight or flight a unit, then run him in, get the conquer, and then kill the thing at base. I think some people were probably really high on this when I saw the reveal. I think I was one of the people that was pretty high on Yone on reveal. Thought this was like maybe a really crazy card. But it's kind of expensive. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's playable. I need to see a little bit more from it. Maybe purple is where it should live, though. Purple is what's making the most sense to me.
There are ways to accelerate him out. I'll give him a 3. It is like a quite nice situation where you put him down and your opponent has a unit, like let's say a red Kaisa on the battlefield, and they want to put her back in their base. But if they do, then he's still going to go and conquer and then still just kill the Kaisa anyway. So that's quite nice, but he is really slow. He's giving me Kiana vibes.
You're seeing her everywhere. Kiana all over. Oh god, no. She's in the walls. She's in the walls.
Like, these power cost units that need to conquer. He's not going to get to conquer multiple times unless you give him ganking or ride the wind him. If you can pull that off, trigger him multiple times, it would be really good.
All right, Ancient Henge, reaction speed, pay any amount of energy to add that much power. So the opposite end of that other like combo deck that I was talking about with the anomaly in blue. This doesn't have as much combo potential, but it is really efficient for continuing to ramp up if you need to pay a lot of power costs. The problem is then the energy just becomes really expensive. So it feels pretty slow for me just to keep your runes around. I think I don't understand when I would want to play this yet. And my lack of understanding is going to put this at a 1 for me. 2. A 2 for me. It'll be a 2.
I think I'll say it's a 1, at least for now. Once there are enough high power cost cards in the game, like punch first level cards, that you could just build an entire deck around this and seals probably. Then you just say, I'm going to pay very small amounts of energy, but for cards that are more impactful than if I'd paid power cost as energy. But for now especially, and you're paying a power cost just to put this into play, which is very expensive, so I don't see how you're going to be able to get the value out of this.
Next is Bone Shiver. When I conquer, channel 1 rune exhausted. I'm seeing Kiana here. It's Kiana on a stick is what we've got here. But the equip cost is 1 energy as well as the power, so not just that free equip off of Weapon Masters. It is only +2. Runes often not exactly the issue in this deck. It's more cards. So I'm not super big on Bone Shiver, especially because like we're looking at orange and equip decks. Is there like a world where Lucian wants this because he pays like high power early aggressive cards and this like allows him to actually play out his hands later? Maybe. It's not horrible, but it's not amazing. I'm gonna give Bone Shiver 2. I'm not super impressed with this card.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 2 as well. If you really want to ramp, and there are much simpler ways to do it in orange, especially without needing to have a unit and then have have it conquer, and paying a power cost to then get it on there. It is really strong when you go first and have a curve out, especially if you are playing jacks, because then you get the ramp value and you equip it without the power cost. But other than that, I don't see it being too strong.
Maybe Jax is the deck that can actually play it, and maybe none of the other orange decks actually get there. Is we do have Jax Unrelenting. This is 4 energy, 1 power. I'm seeing Kiana Weapon Master on this one. When you attach an equipment to me, you may pay 1 to draw 1 with only 3 might. But this is a draw engine for your Jax deck, where you're not having to pay as much to actually equip things to him in the first place, and then you can just pay the 1 to draw. And it's not once per turn, so theoretically you can draw a bunch of cards with this later if you have the energy to dump. But also you'll get you get 1 with the Weapon Master when you play him, and you can draw, and then you can equip 1 with Jax and then draw again. But you do have to pay energy each time, so it's kind of expensive. Feels like a good way to refill your hand though if you're playing like a lot of cheaper units in Jax. I'd give it a 3. It's not like the stats make it not super exciting to me, but this is card draw in orange, so certainly there is room for this to be potentially good.
Yeah, I could see maybe even a 4, at least for what it does for the Jax deck, where I would see it playing other units and a lot of gear out early on, and then this sits in your chosen champion zone, and at some point in the game when you're out of cards, you play him and give him all of your equipment and dump all of your mana into it and just refill your hand completely. I don't think Jax is going to be particularly strong as a deck, which is the problem, so in a vacuum, like compared to what other decks or what other cards are rated at, I don't think it's a 4, but specifically as a Jax card for what it does for the deck.
Makes sense. Up next is Sivir Ambitious, the last card for body. 6 energy, 3 power for 7 might, deflect 2. When I conquer after an attack, if you assigned 5 or more excess damage to enemy units, you may deal that much damage to an enemy unit. So kind of Tryndamere Claws, but instead of a point, you get to potentially remove another unit, either back row or at another battlefield. And then she has deflect 2. And then the power cost is mitigated a little bit by Sivir's ability, but probably not by much, because you're probably using the gold that you're generating throughout the game very frequently, so you're not going to have like a big bank of it. I think this card is kind of mid. I think it's like a 3. At least the might is higher than the energy cost here, so at least that kind of feels good, but it doesn't come in ready. You'd have to potentially pay even more to try and accelerate and get her in there. Yeah, I'll give her a 3.
Is this the first triple power cost unit in the game?
That
like additional cost
without extra costs, yeah, without paying the accelerator, yes.
She's a 1. This is so expensive. I mean, you could get deflect 2 on your blue Ornn without power costs involved.
That's true.
And then this, I wish she had like at least ganking so she could bounce back and forth between battlefields like a blue Kaisa can and generate value. This is a crazy high cost.
Yeah.
For
it's tough.
And 5 excess damage, that's hard to do as well. Like your opponent has to, you either have to make her bigger or your opponent has to leave a 1 or 2 might unit on the battlefield.
But listen,
and then they could just use some.
You can punch
some
first.
Random trick. Yeah, you can punch first, but I'd rather have Yone if I'm doing some kind of backline removal that I want to do, and I don't think I want her as a chosen champion either.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The other chosen option for Sivir is an accelerator unit, so it's kind of hard to beat that. Thanks so much, Priz, for joining us on this review. Prismat, where can the people find you if they want to learn more about your Riftbound journey?
They can find me on twitch.tv/Prismat. I stream mostly online tournaments, going to be doing some set 2 theory crafting in the future. And then they can also find me on metafy.gg/@prismaticism. I published a Teemo guide recently. Go check that out. And then I also offer coaching there.
But that is it for Body. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe. And let us know in the comments if you think we're wrong about everything that we said, or if you agree with some things, or if there's some stuff that you just thought that we missed that would be pretty cool. So let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one.